So that is where I'm currently landing, that the Jacksonville Jaguars, before ever playing a game and earning it on the field, earning a reputation of being better than what we think that they are, just man to man. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are probably landing in that below average category. And I could even see someone arguing that they may be at the top of that league worst category, which is like the bottom 7 in the league for this safety position. But I want to know your thoughts before I circle back to what their ceiling might be.
So before you do that, let's get the tiers back up and have you wrap that beast up, because there's a couple interesting things that I'm going to observe here, there too. You have them in the below average tier. My question is, are you prepared to say that that's a worse secondary core than, let's say, the Pats or the Bears? I don't know that I'm there. But there's a case.
I personally believe they are right now. Not a secondary, but a worse safety core than the Bears and the Patriots. Now, if you're asking what their ceiling is, that's a different conversation. But if we're just talking about those guys versus Jabril Peppers, who we've seen be a good safety, Kyle Duggar, who we've seen be a good safety, Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard were just good safeties in 2023. Like that wasn't that long ago. Like, again, we've more recently seen that. I can't say that I've seen Eric Murray be a top, 25 safety in the league. I haven't seen that. I can't say that I've seen Darnell Savage be a top 25, 30 safety in the league. I cannot say I've ever seen that. So,
of course you haven't seen it. They were too busy getting subbed out by
But so my point is, if I haven't seen it, I can't then be like, oh well, yeah, they're a top unit in the league because Jaguars. Like, no, they gotta prove it on the field, and Caleb hasn't had the opportunity to prove it just yet.
Yeah, so Hines-Allen's not on there yet, right? I get that. That
goes back to my original point. I'm going to give the edge to guys I've seen do it, and maybe they can get back to doing it, if that makes sense. So Jaguars have they've leaned into this whole I'm going to be young and my roster is going to be young philosophy. And with that comes the possibility that you might go into a season not knowing whether or not you're going to have a bottom 7, safety group, or if they're going to be a top 5 safety group, because you don't know where they're going to land. But the good news for the Duval devout, and hallelujah, I got the good news for you, is that the LA Rams exist. We have proof of concept, baby. Like, we know what this could be because we've seen it happen. We already talked about the fact that Cam Kitchens and Cam Curl for the LA Rams, they're a top 10 safety group. But do you know how they got Cam Curl? He was a free agent signing for 2 years, $9 million. You know how they got in 2024 season? That's just a year ago. You know how they got Cam Kitchens? He was a 3rd round draft pick in the 2024 NFL draft. So they just flipped over their entire safety room in one offseason by bringing in a low-cost free agent, again, $9 million over 2 years, and a 3rd round draft pick in the same draft class. And they flipped over their entire secondary with those 2 moves. Well, what did the Jaguars do this offseason? They brought in Eric Murray, a stabilizing force who can communicate back on the back end to make sure they don't have all those busted coverages like they had earlier in the season with the 2024 Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, and he also doesn't miss tackles. Oh, that's interesting. And they brought in Caleb Bransall, who was drafted in the 3rd round of the same draft class. Maybe that's what's going on. They're just trying to do the exact same thing, and maybe if it works out, that's the Jacksonville Jaguars ceiling. We're talking the top 7 to top 10 secondary group or safety group. That there's your proof of concept, if anything. Like, that's what we're talking about at this point, Duval. So we don't know where it's going to land, but at the end of the day, they're going to go with these young rookies and see where it lands. But that's the positive I can take from this. Maybe they're going to be bad, and you might be right in thinking that, but maybe they're going to be good. We're going to have to wait and see if they get some pads on, baby.
So the lesson today is the LA Rams exist. That's no, I think there's some fine takes there too. And listen, you've always been a later adopter than I of certain elements of positivity because this team has made you drink. You have the t-shirt. Hopefully you don't have to break it out as much this season as much as you did the past two. But nonetheless, another thing to save you, Duuuval, Devout, from your lament, the other places on the defense where they've beefed up quite nicely, either just by coaching with addition by subtraction or adding in one Travis Hunter and one Caleb Bransall. And we haven't even talked about Raywan Hall yet. Lieutenant Raywan Hall, I might add. Thank you for your service, sir.
Yes.
So with all that being said there, you have convinced me. And Brian on Facebook, there's your answer. He thinks your safety core is a bottom tier with hope trending upward. I think that's a fair way to say it. So
I think that's fair.